Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is early. It is 6:16 p.m. And I decided to vlog a little bit early this evening because, well, I'm bored and I have nothing else to do. Alex is at home and he is in bed laughing his butt off watching, I think, Schitt's Creek for like the 15th time. And, so he's just kind of laying around, and I made some videos, and we went to brunch earlier today. We weren't really sure if we wanted to go to brunch or not, and then we were like, let's just go. So we went to brunch, and there really weren't a lot of people there. And we were talking to our waitress, he's a good friend of ours, and she was like, yeah, they're thinking about closing. Everything is closing here. A lot of the stores, the schools are closed. So, I don't know. I read this interesting thread last night on Twitter, and I don't know who posted it, but it was like somebody posted it, and it was from some guy in Italy, and he said that it was kind of in regards to this whole like social distancing thing and whatever, and he was like, he said that it makes him sad to see people around the rest of the world going on as if like nothing is really happening. And he said that, like, what we don't realize is that we're like 2 weeks out from where they are now, which was a really scary, like when I read this, it was really scary to read, because I was like, yet again, like, I don't know like what is true and what isn't true, right? And so he went through like day 1, day 2, day 3, and talked about like where they were. It is so hot in this car. It's 42 outside today. It's a rather nice spring day. But he talked about like where they were on like day 1 and day 2 and day 3, and it went through, it was this huge thread. And I guess what was kind of scary to me about it was that he said like on day, he was like, and like certain things are important because they'll play out later in the thread. And so when you're reading them, he's like, you know, on like day 4 or whatever, school started to close and we didn't think much about it. And people were joking about toilet paper and necessities. And, you know, that he's like day 6 and day 7. And it was like, I could see where we are already. Like he said, one of the things he said is, small towns will start to be like quarantined because that's where outbreaks have occurred. Well, we've already seen that in the United States. And then he talked about school closings and all this kind of stuff. And then he was like, and I read this last night, and then I woke up today and saw that there were like more confirmed cases in one day. It was like 380 some cases confirmed in one day of people that had died from, you know, coronavirus. And so he went in there and he said, basically showing that we're like 2 weeks behind where they are, and we're not taking it seriously, and that we better get ready because where they're at is what's coming our way. But I have to believe that the measures that people are taking right now, you know, Alex and I kind of tonight, we were like, well, maybe we shouldn't, like when we were going to brunch, we both like discussed it, and I was like, well, maybe we shouldn't go. Like, I don't know, you know? And I think the way you rationalize it is you see a lot of people out. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people out doing things. I went to Meijer last night. I got groceries. We have a bunch of groceries in our freezer because we never have food at home because we always eat out. But I got a bunch of like, what do you call it? I just got a bunch of stuff. I got like pasta and pasta sauce, and then I got frozen chicken breasts for him, and I got a bunch of like Morningstar stuff for me, and I got a bunch of stuff just in case we can't live, if they would say we can't leave our house. I've heard rumors of like quarantining, so I don't know. But I mean, obviously if we got sick, we couldn't leave the house. And then we got a new like pure, like one of those Brita, you know, pure like water things. And then I got him a filter for his tank, because he has like this big tank in the refrigerator, and then I use like a pour thing. But that way we wouldn't have to get like bottles of water. We could just use that, you know. So, I mean, we've got this stuff in case something happens now. And I didn't like mass buy or anything like that. But again, it's scary to think like we don't really know, you know, what's going on. I've been trying to get enough sleep and, you know, do what everybody says as far as like staying healthy and all this kind of stuff. I will say this, everywhere I go, there's like new signs. Have you guys seen, if you've been out, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's new signs that people are posting on how to like appropriately wash your hands, which is, it's interesting to me because, you know, having worked in a hospital setting for 13 years, I mean, people make jokes about this washing your hands business, but, you know, like hospitals are regulated by OSHA, and we would have, we had trainings on how to wash your hands. And the way that we were taught to wash our hands is that you know, you turn on the faucet and you wash your hands with soap and water, and you sing happy birthday to me 3 times. And that was what we were taught. I don't know if anybody else has been taught this exact same way, but when I've said this to other people like nurses and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, we were taught the same thing. And you sing happy birthday to me 3 times, and then you get a paper towel, or you get a towel, and then you dry your hands off, and then you turn off the knobs with the paper towel, and then you open the door, and then you throw the paper towel away once you've opened the door with the paper towel. And I know it seems extreme, but I have to tell you, I did it 13 years when I worked in treatment, and we would have like outbreaks of like the flu and stuff like that. I rarely ever got sick when I worked in treatment, and I washed my hands all the time, like constantly washed my hands. It just became kind of second nature to me while I was there, which is why I usually like use a lot of lotion, because my hands get dry, but you know, my hands, I don't know. So I don't like take the washing hands thing like lightly, and I see all these jokes about it and whatever, and I'm like, I understand that it's kind of funny to a lot of people, but like in the medical profession, it's like people do take washing their hands very seriously. It's a really easy way to spread things, and I don't know. You know, I finished watching this movie last night. I probably shouldn't have watched it. I started thinking about it. It's interesting. I started thinking about it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, before any of this stuff was like, you know, in the news and people were talking about it and whatever. And it was Testament. And it was this movie that I had seen way back in the day with Jane Alexander, who I think was in the movie The Unmarried Woman, if you ever saw that movie. It was a fantastic movie that came out like in the 70s. But this movie came out in 1983, and it's about like nuclear war. Although today we know that nuclear or like war would look completely different if it occurred. But I watched it last night, and I watched it the night before, but then I finished it last night, and I got so sad. Well, it's a really sad movie anyway, because it's about like radiation and how radiation affects this community and how they try to survive as long as they possibly can, you know, and stuff like that. But one of the things that you see in the movie is, it's a small town in California, but they really try to lean on each other as a community. Somebody commented in my comment section of my vlog, yes, we all need to lean on each other, but figuratively, not literally. I thought that was, you know, kind of a lighthearted way to look at all of this. But, I just wish that we would all, like, start being a little, I don't know, I've witnessed a lot of, you know, standing in the line at stores like that, which is like the worst place to be. You know, it's like we're talking about not spreading this stuff, and then we're standing in stores, which I did too, so I'm no better than the next person. But I wasn't at the top of my lungs telling everybody my opinion, and every time I've gone to a store, I feel like complete strangers want to tell me, like, what lunacy this is. Like, it's just, there's no reality to it. It's just a joke, that we shouldn't be taking it seriously and all that kind of stuff. And I keep thinking to myself, well, I would rather be prepared and know how to be prepared and take care of myself and my family and my loved ones than not be prepared. You know what I mean? But I think that means, you know, staying healthy-minded as well. You know, I think when we talk about health, we don't often talk about, you know, when I'm stressed out, when I've got a lot going on or I'm stressed out, that weakens my physical health. And so it's also about staying peaceful, staying serene, you know, staying in gratitude and staying helpful to others and things like that. You know what I mean? This car is like coming up at me out of nowhere. Yeah. When I went to my meeting last week, people were very safe, I would say, and apparently it was passed down that this was the first moment for me when it got very serious. Was apparently it's been passed down that we are not to, so you know, like, we hold hands and close meetings with, well, a lot of groups close with the Serenity Prayer or the Lord's Prayer. You know, people have like certain ways that they close meetings. I had a meeting I went to that closed. I've had meetings that close a lot of different ways. But we're now not holding hands, we're touching elbows. And Tanya and I were talking about it the other night. See, now I'm coughing and I don't even have a cough. My throat's just itching. Which, that's the other thing, is it's allergy season. So it's like when your nose is sniffling and your throat is itching, you wonder, like, am I sick or is it just allergies? Because Alex has been on his allergy medicine for about 2 weeks. Because he always gets really, really bad allergies. But Tanya and I were talking about it, and I said, like, something about going to our home group on Tuesday. And she said, I don't know, I might stay away for a couple weeks. And I said, seriously? And she was like, that was like, I think that was when we were going home that night. Maybe it was the next night or something, I don't know. But anyway, we kind of had a conversation about it, and I think that's when it kind of started getting really real to me. Being at the grocery store last night, I will say this, was bizarre. I know Walmart, like, closed down and stuff too. You know, I feel like a lot of people probably are like, can you talk about something else in the vlog? And I guess I will, but, you know, at the same time, like, this is what's going on in our world right now. I will tell you what my gut tells me, my gut feeling, is that this is going to get a lot more serious before it gets better. I don't know why my gut tells me that. I hope not. I hope on some level we can shut this down, you know, before any more people get sick and die. It's just so sad. But when I was at the grocery store, like Walmart, I think, and some other places like Kroger, like, they closed down to restock overnight. But Meijer was open, and so I went there. I don't know what time it was in the morning too, something like that. And there were actually quite a few people there. I wouldn't say it was packed, but I mean, it was like busier than it usually is at that time of night, but not busy. And like, there's nothing being restocked. Like, they were out of, so I wanted to get some nuts and stuff because Alex loves peanuts and stuff. And so I thought, well, I'll just get like a couple things of nuts. Like, Planters nuts, completely gone. All they had were like Meijer brand nuts. And I totally forgot to get peanut butter, but I'm not gonna go back today. Yeah, they were completely out of like all kinds of like name brand like nuts that you would buy, and tons and tons of canned food was gone. And I don't know, it just like, you know, like, okay, this is how it's weird. You know, like on a snow day, like when you hear that we're gonna get like a blizzard or something, like everybody goes, well, no bread whatsoever. Which I thought was kind of weird, because I was like, what is the, like, bread doesn't last longer than like a week, does it, before it starts kind of getting moldy? So I was sitting there and I was like, you know, like with a blizzard or something, there's usually like the night before where people are like, they're like, okay, we're getting a snowstorm, go get your milk, go get your bread and all that kind of stuff. And then like the next day we either get the snow or we don't, you know? And then if we get the snow the next day, it's like it kind of like dies off and people, you know, like they stop buying all their stuff. But we're now on like the end of a week of this kind of like mass hysteria buying. Actually, I know some people are going to think I'm stupid when I say this, but I got online and I was like, what things to have in case you're quarantined, and it said like 6 things that you need to have, and it was like, make sure that you have like enough products to clean, and that you have like bleach and vinegar in case you have to like, you know, dilute your own things and clean it from home. And then it was like, because you have to keep your areas clean. It was like very basic things that, you know, it wasn't like stockpiling stuff. It was just basic things. But one of the things that said in there was that I never would have thought about was to have a first aid kit. And it said, you know, if you're at home and you can't go to the doctor or the emergency room and something happens where you cut yourself or whatever, you know, make sure that you have enough stuff at home that you can take care of yourself. That if it's not an emergency, you don't have to go to the emergency room, because, you know, at times of quarantine, emergency rooms become flooded with people. And if you can take care of yourself at home, which is like a cut or whatever, make sure that you have that stuff. And I had never in a million years thought about that, right? And we don't have a first aid kit. Well, I've never had a first aid kit, I don't think. Maybe when I was growing up, my mom did, but so I got online on Amazon. I thought, I'm gonna get on here and you're not gonna be able to purchase a first aid kit. They're all gonna be sold out. But I got one. I got like a pretty basic one, but it was like $20, and so it should come on like Wednesday or something like that, Tuesday or Wednesday. But I was like, I would never have thought about that. And and it was just like basic necessities that you would need, that you can't leave the house if you're quarantined. I mean, they're saying that if you get sick, don't leave your house, and people are talking about self-quarantining and things like that. And I've seen a lot of people online talking about how they got sick and they're staying at home and whatever, you know. I was talking to Alex about it, and I said, do you think that I'm being crazy and making sure that we just have like our essentials and stuff like that? He said, my entire family is from Venezuela. He said, we never knew that Venezuela was going to be the way that it is now. Let me tell you something about this toilet paper thing that's interesting. Alex and I were talking about. So before Carlos and Liliana moved here was at the height of the revolution in Venezuela. And I've told this story before, but like we would sit in the kitchen, and before Alex's cousins and everybody were over, and it was just his grandma, and we would sit in the kitchen and they would pull up the news from Venezuela like on the computer, and then they would just sit there, and his grandma would just sit in the kitchen and she would listen to it, and they would all sit around and listen to it, and then they would call people and whatever, right? And talk to them about what was going on. When Carlos and Liliana came over, they told us this story, I will never forget this, about like, Because, you know, at that time, it's bad. Like, Venezuela, it's really, really bad right now. And, so, like, we know from, like, family members that they talk to and stuff, like, how bad it is, and that money basically is worthless in Venezuela. And, like, it has, like, their Venezuelan money means nothing over there right now. And it's really scary, you guys. And people aren't getting, like, they can't afford to pay for what it costs to just live for a month over there. I mean, their economy is just done. And so when Carlos and Liliana came over, like, I said to Carlos, I said, like, I remember we were all sitting around and I said, how bad is it? And he said, well, we couldn't leave our apartment. And they had, like, a really nice apartment and stuff over there, because at the time they were living with Alex's dad. And they said, we couldn't leave the apartment because, I mean, you couldn't just go to the grocery store and go grocery shopping, first of all. Second of all, if you did, there was nothing there that you needed, right? So what would happen is, and he specifically talked about toilet paper. He said somebody would come into the apartment building and they would come up and down the stairs and they would say, at such and such place, there's toilet paper. And one of us would leave because you got rationed like so much toilet paper per family or whatever. And then they would go down there to buy toilet paper, and you had like a half an hour to get there, get the toilet paper, and get back, because it was so dangerous to be out on the streets. You guys, this is literally 2 years ago, okay? This isn't like 50 years ago. This is like 2 years ago. Well, how long have Carlos and Liliana lived here now? They moved here, and then Sebastian was born like a year later, so he's 4. So this was 5 years ago, and 5 or 6 years ago. And Carlos was like, we like hardly had any toilet paper, you know, and stuff like that. And the reasons that they ended up moving here partly was because of their fear for the kids, or the fear for Carlitos, and they knew that they were going to have another child. And it's so sad. It's just so sad to me. And so, like, when people talk about the toilet paper stuff, like, I'm not real into the stockpiling of the toilet paper, stockpiling items, but I do understand when they talk about it. Like, I mean, I hope to God we never get to that here. You know, I mean, right now we're talking about health issues, but I mean, it could turn into, I mean, we've seen in the past situations with like looting and stuff like that. I hope that doesn't happen. Big hawk up there on the phone line. Do you know what a hawk is supposed to represent? A hawk is supposed to represent the veil between the living and the dead. Did you know that? Was sad. Alex was watching Very Cavallari the other day with Kristen Cavallari, and she goes to Italy in the show to like meet her like second and third and fourth cousins, and to see where her family is from, and she sees like the town, like where her family is from, and all that kind of stuff. And Alex was sitting there watching it, and I looked over. It's gonna stop. Hold on. I looked over and Alex was all like teary-eyed, and I said, are you okay, babe? And he goes, it just makes me sad that I'm never gonna get to show you things like that, you know? And I said, we were talking, and you know, he hasn't been back to Venezuela in forever. And I mean, they would go when he was in high school and stuff like that, but like when they were in high school here, like Fufu went back, I can't remember, Fufu went back the summer before we got married and was there like all summer long. And then I think he went like, did he go the summer after that too and stayed with Carlos and stuff? I don't know, maybe he did. It's interesting because Carlos actually moved back to Venezuela. He went to high school here and he was going to go to college here, and he went back to Venezuela to play baseball. in Venezuela, and for a college there. And like, he was real serious about baseball. He is serious about baseball here too, but he just plays in like a local league now. But every year he does like this thing in, they just went not too long ago, and I think it was in Puerto Rico, where they, he got to see like people that he had played with like for years and years and years and years and years, because you like send like people from like certain, you know, like the US, and it's like, it's not like anything serious, it's just like a league thing, but you know, like Argentina, Peru, Venezuela send like 5 people each. And so he had been like, he grew up like playing with all these people, you know, like back in the day, you know, when he was 18 to like, you know, in his late 20s or whatever. So he was so happy. He said Puerto Rico was beautiful. They loved Puerto Rico. He said the beaches in Puerto Rico were the most similar to any beach he had seen, like outside of the US. You know, like, I'm assuming like, you know, Mexico and that kind of stuff. Compared, he said it was the most similar to Venezuela he had ever seen. Alex's mom and ex-husband went to this place. They talked about how romantic it was. They talked about it all the time. This place called La Roca, I think. And it's like an island in Venezuela, or it's like this area in Venezuela, and you go, and then there's like all these little islands around there. And so you pay for the day, and it's like super cheap to do. It's like $50 or something. And they like boat you out to one of these like private islands, and the island's literally like a mile all the way around. Like, you can walk it, you know, in like a half an hour. It's like all the way around, it's like a mile, but it's got like palm trees, and you know, it's beautiful, right? It's crystal clear water for like a mile out. And they drop you, and they set up like an umbrella with like a cooler and food for the whole day. You just do it as like a couple or something, right? For the whole day and whatever. And then they come back and they get you at like 6 p.m. You're literally out there from like 9 a.m. to like 6 p.m. And you're the only one. It's like nobody else can see you on this. I mean, you're on this island all by yourself. Can you imagine how amazing? My nose was driving me crazy from trimming my nose last night, or trimming my beard up here last night. I have wanted to do that for so long. I also want to see Angel Falls. When we saw the movie Up, Angel Falls is in that movie, and Angel Falls are these waterfalls in Venezuela. And then Alex also talks a lot about Margarita Island that he used to go to when he was a kid. They would go there for Christmas, and they would rent these like places on the beach. One of my lip glosses is almost done, and I don't know which one it is. But I told him the other night, I said, one day we'll be able to go back to Venezuela. You know, well, he'll be able to go back to Venezuela, and one day I'll get to go. It's dangerous there, though. Really dangerous. Alex is like, I'm not so worried about you going, or me going, as I am about you going. His stepdad, when he went the last time, because they went a couple times, he was like, the last time we were thinking actually about going. God, when was that? That was before Carlos and, that was before things got really bad with like the change and the, like with Chavez and things like that. And he was like, it was right around that time that things were starting to change, and they got back, and I said, like, we had actually really thought about going at that point, and he said, I don't think maybe you'd want to do that. And he had pretty much just stayed in the apartment the whole time. It's like apartments there you buy, like houses, I guess. Like, they still have like Alex's grandma's apartment there. They have somebody that takes care of it and stuff. But so they stayed there, and he was like, yeah, I just kind of stayed in the apartment the whole time. And I was like, really? Like, you didn't go out and stuff? And he was like, well, we did, but like we would drive out into like the country and like what's it called? Maracaibo? Is that what it's? Maracay? Not Maracay. Alex is from... It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm thinking of the island, Curacao, but it's, he's from, what is the, damn it, why can't I think of it? Do you ever say something enough and then it's like when you need to say it, you can't think of what the word is? Caracas, he's from Caracas. But Maracaibo is where, I think that's how you pronounce it, is where like a lot of his cousins and stuff live. So like they went over there for like a day or two, and like that's more like in the mountains, I guess. And so his stepdad was like, yeah, it's real safe out there, but like in the city of Caracas, no, he was like, I didn't feel safe as an American being there on the streets. And that was like when the office was changing, like all of the stuff started and whatever. Makes me sad though, you know? When we were going out of town recently, when we were going through TSA, Alex, and you know, we were like in TSA, because we have TSA pre-check, we were going through, and there was a sign, and it said, I don't know what this is about. I asked Alex, he's like, yeah, I don't know. But it said that the Department of Homeland Security had found that Venezuela is unsafe right now, so you can't come in and out of Venezuela, I guess. I don't know what that's about, but that must be because of that. But we had a friend of ours that her father passed away. She was Venezuelan. This is 2 years ago. And so she went, like, getting to Venezuela, getting in was no problem for her. But, like, she was, like, bringing his, and she actually lives in Florida, but, like, to bring his, like, remains and stuff back, like, was this huge issue. And... like he had been cremated and she was bringing him, you know, back for the rest of the family and stuff. And it was like, she couldn't like get him out of the country. It wasn't just that. It was like, it was so hard to get out of the country at that time. And she finally did. I can't remember, like she had to talk to like the, at the time she talked to like the U.S. consulate or something and work with them, but it was like days that it took her to get out of there. And I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? I feel like I keep on, like somebody's like calling me, but I don't see anybody calling me. I haven't listened to my audiobook the last couple days. That's probably why I've been talking about it. Well, yesterday I didn't listen to my audiobook. I probably will a little bit tonight because I vlogged and then I went to the grocery store and then I watched that movie and I just wasn't really in the mood to listen to my audiobook and drive around. I don't know why. I keep on thinking there's going to be a moment when people like stop going out so much, but there's like a lot of people out today. I'm out, so. I should drive by Walmart and see how busy it is. Since they restocked and they're closing at 9 o'clock, I think, or no, 11 o'clock. I wanted to go to Bed Bath & Beyond. I knew that's something I wanted to do today. I wanted to get that. So I looked at the Keurig Elite last night, but they didn't have the color that I wanted. It comes in a couple different colors, and they only have this goldish color, which I don't like. And I was ready to buy that thing last night too, and they didn't have one they didn't have the color that I wanted. I wonder what time Bed Bath & Beyond closes. So I thought I'll go to Bed Bath & Beyond. I'm not going to Walmart today. There's no way I can deal with that. Those houses in there are so cute. I never see them during the day. I only see them at night. I'm ready to rent another Airbnb. Man, that was the bomb out there in Arizona, that house. Oh my God, I loved that. I had the time of my life. I miss Mel so much. Mel and I had so much fun. Smelly Mel, that's what I'm gonna call her from now on. She's not smelly. Mel smells good. But I don't know why I think that's so funny, Smelly Mel. Smelly Melly, that's what I'm gonna call her from now on. Hey, Smelly Melly! But we had so much fun. It was fun. Like I can remember the day that we went to the Bosa donuts or Sosa, I don't know, those donuts, and I remember thinking to myself, there are so many things in Phoenix that I could review that I have never tried before. Like there's so many things, but in Indianapolis, I like on a daily basis, I'm like, what to review today? Oh, I did buy something last night at Meyer to review. It's something new that came out, but every day I'm like, what should I review today? What should I review today? And in Phoenix, I feel like there's just like all of these things to review, you know? The Girl Scout cookies were fun to review. I had a good time doing that. I wanna hold your hand. Have you guys seen that movie Yesterday? I wanna see that movie. About the guy that like, the world goes back or something in time, and like the world stops, and like they've never heard of the Beatles, and so like he acts like he came up with all the songs from the Beatles. Like I want to see that movie. I thought that movie looks really cute, but I haven't really heard a bunch about it, so it's probably horrible. You know what I mean? I'm gonna pull in here in a second and see what time Bed Bath & Beyond closes. I have a feeling it probably closed. Don't you think they'd have Keurigs there? I feel like it's gonna close at 6, and it's 6:52. So. But if it closes at 9, then I can still make it there. Obviously, I'm not going to be vlogging for 2 hours. I know you wish, Lisa and the Cult Jam, but not today. It's coming, though. I drove by my gym last night because I wanted to see if they had anything like saying that they were closing or anything. Because one of my friends asked me, she was like, who was it that asked me that? I don't even remember. But she was like, is your gym like closing down? And I thought, I don't know, but like that's a good point. Like that kind of would surprise me if gyms stayed open, you know what I mean? Because you're touching everything in there. And, but when I drove up to it, there was like the sign on the door. It wasn't closed, but it said, you know, like, make sure that you do this, make sure that you do that, and we're trying to do what we can to keep things clean and all this kind of stuff, which I thought that was really interesting. The gas here, member price at the get-go is $1.74. Unleaded is $1.94. I should probably buy some more gas, but I'm not gonna get it right now. I can't believe that gas is so cheap. Does anybody know why that is? Does anybody have it? Hello, anyone? Ferris, Bueller, anyone? Bueller? I went the wrong way. I wanted to go over there so I could get out. Okay. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. Bed Bath & Beyond. Why does it always... Oh, it says it closes at 7. Closes at 7. Well, I might as well not buy it today anyway because I'm going to want to use it, and I am not going to do that because I want to review it. I put on Twitter, meeting in the ladies' room will forever and always be one of my all-time favorite music videos. Okay, do you guys want to be screwed for the rest of the day? You want to have a song stuck in your head? Oh, this car I didn't see. Sorry. He's not even looking at me. I'm trying to apologize. You want to have a song stuck in your head for the rest of the day? I've got a meeting in the ladies' room. I got to be there real soon. My friend and I, back in the day, I would get ready, and then he and I were the same size, which was when I was working out, which I can't believe. I wore a medium t-shirt. That was 27, 28. I wore a medium t-shirt and I was actually toned and had like, I wouldn't say I had a 6-pack, but I was working on a 4-pack. So anyway, but I was like in really, really good shape. And so we would go and we would buy all these vintage like t-shirts and stuff like that. And so I would wear something down to his house, but then we would do what was called modeling tops. Did I bring t-shirts down there or did I wear his? I think I wore his too. But we would put on old music like Gwen McCrae. Do you guys remember Gwen McCrae? I love her so much. And we would put on like Climax, Meeting in the Ladies' Room, and what else did we put on back then? Oh my God, Blondie. We played all the old good tunes, and then we would model tops, which meant change our shirts to see which one we should wear for the evening out. And so we would be like, I'm meeting in the ladies' room. We'd do a little like, you know, fashion show. And then we would do what we called high kicks. And high kicks was like, you would come out of the bedroom, because this bedroom was like behind the kitchen. So you would come out like, I'm meeting to the ladies. I got a meeting in the ladies' room. Kick like that. And then we do like a high kick in the air. We got laughing so hard over high kicks and modeling tops. Oh my God. I could still, to this day, I can do a high kick like nobody's business. I wanted to be a rockette when I was growing up. I really did want to be a rockette. I know, like, some of these things I say on here, people are like, is that true? Mel asked me, she said something about, like, I said something to her that I had, like, talked about on my vlog. And she goes, is that really true? And I go, girl, everything I say on my vlog is true. Yes, all those stories are true about me. She was like, well, I didn't know. I'm like, well, you think I get on here, like, you're like my haters that think I script these shows. Oh my God, back in the day when my haters said that I scripted my vlogs, like I literally scripted like an hour and a half of vlog, memorized it, drove around without looking at the script, because I have no prompt, you know, what's it called, video prompter up in here or whatever to read it from. So then I memorized my script, and then I drove around and I did my monologue, my daily monologue. I was like, okay, where do you people come up with this stuff? But no, like, I truly did want to be, like, you guys, listen, I just was a crazy kid. I just was. I'm a crazy adult, you know? But I wanted to be a rockette so bad back in the day. If you don't know what a rockette is, look them up online, okay? They do, like, they work at the Radio City, well, I don't know if they work there, but they do shows at, like, the Radio City Music Hall and, Rockefeller Center Square, or whatever that's called, Rockefeller Center, I think, and they do like Christmas shows. They do all kinds of shows throughout the years, but they're the ones that like stand in a long line and they put their arms around each other and they do like the high kicks, you know, all in unison. They're fantastic. I know this won't surprise anybody, but being an only child that swam in a pool by myself for many, many years, all by myself, I also wanted to be like Esther Williams and be like one of those synchronized swimmers. Do you remember that? Oh my God. I practiced, my leg would go boom, like that. I did synchronized swimming back in the day in the pool. I mean, for hours and hours and hours. I used to watch those Esther Williams movies. Do you guys know what I'm talking about, the Esther Williams movies? So the Esther Williams movies were basically, she was like a famous like synchronized swimmer. So the movies were basically like these romances and musicals, but they would always like have like synchronized swimming in them. That never, like, when I look back on it, like they never fit into like the movie, but somehow they did. I don't know how to make sense of that, but they just did. But I loved them so bad. So I loved them so much, and I wanted to be a synchronized swimmer so bad. And I also wanted to be what do you call it? A rockette. And I would practice in our library. I would put on music, and I would, I can't even remember what kind of music I would play to do it, but I would just do like one high kick after another, after another. To this day, I can do high kicks like nobody's business. What was I watching? What movie was that I was watching where... Okay, so this is so funny. Okay, I'd totally forgotten about this. So I had this roommate. She lives in Germany now, but anyway, she and I, oh my God, we partied together so hard, and we used to do like thrift store shopping and whatever. We had so much fun together. She was the one that we always said, like, if we didn't meet somebody by a certain age, we'd get married, but we're both married now. But anyway, so I mean, people thought like we were literally joined to the hip back in the day. We always went out together. And she was actually one of my friends that drank as hard as I did and partied as hard as I did. She didn't really do as many drugs as I did. Like, she drank hard though. But like when I got sober, like she cleaned up her act. And I actually lived with her after I got sober. So she lived out of town. She had moved to live with her grandfather. And then when she moved in Kansas, and then she moved back here about 6 months later. And then when I met my boyfriend, my very first, well, serious boyfriend that I lived with, he and I, the three of us moved into an apartment together. And she didn't drink. I mean, she would drink every once in a while, but not very often. And she, like, because of me, she, like, cleaned up her act too and stuff. So I don't know, maybe she was never an alcoholic or an addict, but she stopped drinking and all that kind of stuff, and got like she had 2 real serious jobs back then. And but anyway, I was watching The Bling Ring. I rented that movie. I'm so pissed about this too. So I didn't know this on iTunes. I guess if you do the 99-cent rentals, that after like 24 hours they're gone or something like that, it disappeared from my downloads on my phone. I'm like, I paid 99 cents for this damn rental. I only get to rent it for 24 hours. I was pissed. So anyway, I rented this movie, The Bling Ring, which probably is on one of those Netflix or Amazon Primes anyway, so I'll just watch the rest of it there. But it was about those kids that were going into like Lindsay Lohan's house and Megan Fox and Paris Hilton, and they were stealing from them. It's a true story, right? And then those girls, they had like a weirdly reality show with their mom. Do you remember that? Where she like made them do like meditations in the mornings and stuff. It was real weird. I watched every episode. I lived for it. That and Hey Paula, the Anna Nicole Smith, Anna Nicole, and The Simple Life were like 4 of my favorite reality shows of life. But that one where the girls, where they would say blessed be and stuff like that all the time. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was real weird, and yet they had stolen from everybody in Los Angeles. But anyway, so that was what the movie was about. Well, there's this scene in there where this guy who's like their friend, and I think he's gay too. They don't really say, they do, but they don't like say in the movie. It doesn't matter either way. But he steals a pair of heels from Paris Hilton, I think. And he wears them like out of the house or something. And so there's this one scene when he's just like casually laying in his bed and he's got these heels on and he's like listening to music or writing on his, he's just like casually laying in bed. He's got these heels on with like jeans and a t-shirt though, you know what I mean? I had totally forgotten about this. I may have told this story on here before, I don't know. But we went to some thrift store and I found these black patent heel shoes, and we were with a friend of ours that was a drag queen, and she could not walk in heels to save her life. And it was at the end when I was getting to my fantastic story of the heels, and she couldn't walk in heels to save her life. And so I was like, girl, I'm gonna get these heels and I'm gonna show you like right here how to walk in heels. And he was like, girl, you don't know how to walk in no heels. I was like, I bet you right now. And I put on these black patent leather shoes, okay? I mean, and their heel, it was like this spiked heel. I don't know where we got them. It was at this old thrift store here in town called the Red Rose. It was from like the 50s. They had all this like 50s stuff in their memorabilia, like leather jackets from the 50s and stuff. It was so cool. Crinoline prom dresses from the 50s. Anyway, I put these heels on and I walked like I was Naomi Campbell on the fashion show. You couldn't stop me. So anyway, I got those little heels that day. They were perfect size to fit my foot and everything. And I got those and I took them home. And I always had them, like I had this long, so I had this loft apartment back in the day. It was, oh my God, I love this apartment so much. But it was like, you walked up these stairs into like the loft area, and it had this long white, like, not banister, but railing thing, and it was about this thick, so you could set stuff on it, right? Like, you know, in my drama videos, how I have behind me, I have like the plant and the conch shell and things like that. Like, you could set stuff on it like that. So I had all kinds of stuff set up on this thing. Let me tell you about my first apartment, okay, first of all. Well, anyway, I'll talk about the heels. So I had these black heels, and they were always just sitting up there, right? And so when me and my old roommate, my good Judy, we would just be sitting around the house watching movies or, you know, making drinks or whatever, like we did every day. Because we like, a lot of times we didn't like to go out. We just sit at home and drink. We didn't like people telling us that we drank too much. We didn't like people trying to get us to buy us drinks and all that kind of stuff. So we would go get us a case of beer and just sit at home, or whatever was cheapest that day. We get a box of wine and take that bag out and just tap it, you know? But anyway, I remember one day we got so sick. We got a case, okay, and we walked down to the liquor store, which was literally like 2 blocks. But Zimas, do you guys remember Zimas? Zimas were on sale for like something ridiculous. And it was like this case of 24 Zimas. Zimas were like the first kind of like new, you know how they get all these drinks now. Zimas were kind of like, I think like White Claws are today, but they came in a bottle. And they were like fruity juice, but they get you pretty drunk. So anyway, they were made by Coors, I think. So we carried this case, this box. Do you remember those box cases where the handle on either side? We carried this case down the street. Like, oh my God. I would no sooner be caught carrying anything like that down the street today. And there I was. I wanted to get drunk so bad that I was carrying a case of Zimas down the street. So anyway, we would be sitting around just being stupid, even when I wasn't drunk. And I would throw on these heels and just be doing laundry and stuff. I wore those heels so much back in the day. I loved them. I wonder what happened to them. I finally probably decided when I moved, it's time to throw those out. But anyway, my apartment back in the day, oh my God, I had a friend of mine that worked at the Gap, and I would beg him for those Gap posters. Do you remember that? Like, Gap posters kind of like, then it became like the Abercrombie posters, but that was when I was much older and I didn't want like foolish posters hanging in my apartment. But do you remember the Gap posters back in the day? I wanted those so bad. And the United Colors of Benetton, those posters. Okay, I had all those posters in my bedroom, or not in my bedroom, in my living room instead. I have this picture of my roommate and I'll have to show it to you guys, and it's us sitting in this chair. I had director's chairs. Okay, listen. When I moved into this apartment, okay, my dad, I love when people think that I'm this trust fund baby. Okay, let me just tell you about my first apartment, which my dad, he helped me get. So he did help me with that, but like he wasn't about buying no furniture. He was like, if you want furniture, you can go to the thrift store like the rest of us, okay? So basically what I had was stuff that I took from home that they didn't want, my dad, my mom, my stepmom, or stuff I bought at thrift stores. My dad helped me make a futon bed, and it was just basically this wood piece that had a mattress on it. It had no box springs or anything. It was just, and it was so comfortable back in the day. And then I had one of those Pier 1, what do you call it? Oh shoot, I can't think of what it's called. Mosquito nets over my bed. I loved it. I thought it was so romantical. But one time, my roommate and I, she and I, oh my God, we were so drunk. We got twisted up in that net and it pulled down and it pulled like part of the ceiling with it. So anyway, and then I had a Papasan chair in the corner because I'd had that in my old bedroom. Do you remember those Papasan chairs at Pier 1? Do people still have those? I think they're kind of making a return a little bit. And then in the way corner of my room, I had this TV like this big with a VCR underneath it. And I would watch movies every night before I went to bed because I was always scared in my apartment myself. And I had this big window that overlooked, one night in a vlog, I went and I showed that apartment. I had this window that overlooked the parking lot. And then I had a little itty bitty bathroom that had a clear shower curtain in it and a white rug. And then I had another Gap poster in my kitchen. But I will tell you what's interesting about that apartment was I started something there when I got sober is, well, I had wine bottles all over the top of my kitchen that I drank, and different kinds of bottles of Jack Daniels, all kinds of stuff. If I drank a bottle, I put it up there. It was like, you know, trophy central. But when I first got sober, my very first sponsor came in and he was like, what is all this? And he was like, we need to bag this up. And we bagged all that up and I started carrying it out. And I go, are you gonna help me with it? And he goes, oh no, this is your burden to carry. I was like, oh, okay, I see how you're gonna be now. So I had to carry all of these bottles. Okay, I had to throw away my margarita glasses, my martini glasses. Back in the day when you got sober, people were strict about stuff. Like I wasn't allowed to keep anything that looked like a cocktail glass or anything whatsoever, none of it. I had even these frozen ice cubes that were so cute for frozen summer drinks, and he was like, no, those need to go too. I was so pissed. Wine openers, bottle openers, had to throw that stuff out. And in my living room, I had a drafting table that had actually been my dad's desk. I still have it in the basement because I just don't want to throw it out, but it's like it needs to go. And it's an old drafting table, and I used it as a desk in the corner and had my computer and stuff on it. And then I had all these plants hanging down in the window, these huge long plants in my screen, my sliding glass door. And then I had an actual wood burning fireplace with a mantle, and it was a small fireplace, but I had all this stuff over artwork and candles, and the candles had dripped down. It looked so cool. I loved it. And then, and I had this carpet. It was like this Berber carpet in there that I loved. And then in that corner, I had another Papasan chair. And then I had this bird cage that I had actually, it was like this 2 foot, 3 foot, amazing bird cage that I had found in the trash. It was like sitting out there one day by the trash can. I was like, oh no, I'm taking this. And it was because the bottom of it was gone. And then I was at a thrift store and I found this, it was a fake bird, it wasn't a real bird, but I found this fake bird, and so I took her and I stuck her inside the bird cage, and I named her Sylvia after Sylvia Plath, because I was real obsessed with the book The Bell Jar back then. And I put her inside there, and then I had, for the longest time I never had a couch. Finally, for like Christmas or something, my dad one year, he like paid for like half a couch or bought me a couch or something, I can't remember, but anyway, it was just a real basic couch. And then I had this buffet thing that my mom had in her basement, and that was where my table and my, and it kept like, had like drawers or cabinets that you could open. It was a buffet table with the legs cut off, and you just sat it on the ground, and they had used it like in their very first apartment, so it was old. And I had my stereo and my speakers and my TV and everything on there, plus a bunch of candles and everything. And then my dad had helped me make bookshelves out of plywood and bricks. And so I had all these bookshelves with plywood and bricks. And then to sit, we sat on the floor, okay? Let me tell you, we sat on the floor. We had, I mean, these kids moving into their first apartment, getting all these kind of couches and everything from Crate and Barrel and IKEA. No, that was not me back in the day. I had 2 director's chairs, black director's chairs that had been my mom's, that were in the basement, and it was rusted on the metal part of it. God, my nose is driving me crazy every time I trim my beard. And then I had, at my bedroom at my dad's house, I'd have these 2 little tables, and on either side, these wood tables, which I think he had in his office at one point. And one table was between the director's chairs, and the other table was what held my TV in my bedroom. And then if you walk downstairs, like, so I had, from the loft, I had, and then I had another director's chair at the end of the wall, and it had a big Gap poster over it. And I think I had a coat hanger in the hall or something like that. Something that I had all these hats hung on. I had an Ernest Hemingway hat. I had all these kind of very famous hats. Ernest Hemingway hat, and I had like a bowler hat, if that's what you call it, something like that, you know. I had all these different kind of cool hats. But anyway, and then if you walk down the stairs from the loft, you like go down, and then there's a landing, and then you go down to the front door. And then I had this walk-in closet that, oh my God, it was such a mess. It was like I just threw everything I didn't want in that walk-in closet down there by the front door. But when you walk down and you hit the landing, I had like 10 naked Barbie dolls, and they all sat there like the Rockettes with their legs crossed. They were all sitting there, these naked Barbies. Anyway, their hair was perfect and everything. Oh my God. And, and then I was obsessed with the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's. I love that movie so much. And if you ever watch that movie, she keeps a bottle of perfume in her mailbox. So I kept a bottle of cologne in my mailbox. And so like when people would come over and we would be like going out to a bar or on a date or whatever, you know, because I was the dating fool for a while. Always looking for a boyfriend. Always looking for Mr. Right, not Mr. Right now. I would go and I would open that and I would spray myself with cologne like I was Holly Golightly from Breakfast at Tiffany's. Oh my God, I forgot all about that. Oh my God, that was so much fun back in the day. Do you know what I'm talking about when you open, it's like a post office box. When you open it with the mail and you put it up, and it's like, I put a bottle of cologne in there. Oh my God, what the mailman must have thought. Oh my God, I did not care. I love that apartment. To this day, I have people, friends of mine from back then, that when I see them, they'll be like, oh my God, that first apartment of yours, I love that apartment so much. I did too. But you know, that apartment had so much, like I partied so hard, and that apartment had a lot of bad memories for me in there. There were some things that happened to me in that apartment that, there were just some real hard things that happened to me in that apartment. And, but you know, I got sober in that apartment too. And I remember coming home from treatment, and my dad had had that apartment professionally cleaned. And it was like coming home to a new apartment. And I must have had a couch by that point, because I can remember coming home and having a couch. And it was this couch that had like this Native American print on it. And I wanted this couch so bad. And I think we may have, well, I wouldn't have been able to pay for half of it, so he must have bought it for me for like a birthday or a Christmas present. I remember it was one or the other. But what's so funny about this is that my friend loved it so much that her mom ended up getting the couch for their house as well. And But she got like the chairs and the ottomans and stuff too. I just got the couch. I didn't need any more. But it was like this sunken couch. It was like, well, we see these couches all over the place then, but back then they didn't have them. It was like this real deep couch, you know? And I wanted this couch so bad. And then I had the table on the end with a lamp and stuff like that. I always had like old lamps that my mom had like given me from like their first apartment, like when they lived in like, you know, Grand Rapids and Chicago and stuff like that when my dad was doing his medical residency. But, so my parents lived in Grand Rapids before they lived in Chicago and had me because my dad did his family practice residency in Grand Rapids. My mom loved Grand Rapids, by the way. And then they moved to Evanston, and my dad did his residency at Cook County Hospital in downtown Chicago, and my mom she worked at Northwestern Library, and they lived like 2 blocks from Northwestern, which is where Evanston is anyway. But anyway, so that was my very first apartment. I still have so many people that come to me and they're like, I love that apartment so much. But oh, this is what I was gonna say. You know, when I got sober in that apartment, like it changed a lot of the memories for me. Like I had all of these really like, I mean, I had a lot of fun memories there. You see me talking about it, I get excited about it. Like I loved that apartment, you know? And what's really funny about this, so the reason I picked that apartment complex was because my dad had lived there. That was the apartment complex that my dad had moved into when he and my mom got separated, before he built his house. Like he moved in there and then he started building this house that he lives in now. So he had moved in there. Well, I had a lot of like positive memories of that. I liked that apartment complex. It was very cool. And it just was a really cool apartment complex. But anyway, and it was wooded. There was like a lot of, like I looked out like into woods from my apartment. This is so funny. So one of my friends from back in the day watches this vlog every single day. Her name, you know who you are, you know who you are. And I'm like wondering if she remembers that apartment. I'm like, I wonder if she remembers that apartment. So anyway, I loved that apartment. But then when I got sober, it kind of changed. It felt different for me. I mean, that was the place that I got sober in, you know? And as much as I'm a believer in halfway houses and things like that, which I probably should have gone to a halfway house, that was the one thing I was like so resistant to. We didn't have a lot of them in Indianapolis at that time. I think we only had one, and it was at St. Vincent's. And like they recommended that I went to a halfway house. I was like, hell no, I'll do everything else, but I'm not going to a halfway house. But I should have gone. And then when I had, like later, when they started opening up a lot of them in Indianapolis, I was jealous of my friends that got to go to halfway houses. I was like, I wish I would have gone, because and you know, not every, like you can use on your own, you can use in a halfway house, you can use any treatment center, wherever, okay? So I'm not singing the glories of the halfway house, but if you want to make a halfway house a positive experience, you can too. I know a lot of people that have had good sobriety living in halfway houses. And they've, you know, listened to the rules and they followed the structure. And I had a lot of friends of mine through the years that went to halfway houses, and they have like some of the best friendships with people that they like roomed with there and they're with now. And they have all these funny stories and things that happen. I don't know, I just wish I would have gone to a halfway house. I think it would have been good for my recovery too. But I basically did the same thing, because all I did for the next couple months was just go to meetings, go to meetings, go to meetings, and have a boyfriend. That was very important to me. But we won't talk about that today. I've already talked about that on here. This is Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I think they need to take that down. But anyway, it's so weird like doing this drive during the day. This is the same drive that I do at night, but I'm doing it during the day. It's kind of strange. So yeah, that was my apartment back in the day. And it's weird because like I can see myself there partying and I had a lot of parties, which is so weird. Like I'm not that person today to like have like 5 or 10 people over, but I did back then. I always had a lot of people over. And the other thing that's interesting about it too is that I had like pre-parties. Like people would come over to my house before we went out. And what's weird about that is I lived on the north side of Indianapolis and all the bars are downtown. So I don't know why we would come over to my apartment first and then go downtown, but we did. And I remember people would be like, well, come over to our house and see. I'd be like, no, you can come over to my house. I'll be over here and we'll be getting ready. And I seriously, like, people would be partying and I'd be in the bathroom, like with my good Judy, and I'd be in there getting ready and doing stuff. But then when I got sober, like I said, it completely changed, and I can like see the apartment. It's almost kind of like in a different way. Like it was very well kept. It was always clean. It really wasn't messy when I was using either. It was pretty clean. I've always kind of been, you know, weird about that stuff, like wanting to have clean space. But, I mean, after parties, of course, the next day I'd wake up and be like, oh my God, you know. But, when I got sober, I can remember it being like really clean and spotless, and getting rid of a lot of like the junk that just was like around and whatever. And then, like the kitchen was kind of a focal point for me, and I had these 2 stools, and I would always like sit there and talk on the phone. This was before cell phones, you know, and I would always sit there and talk on the phone to my friends in sobriety and my sponsor and stuff like that. And I can see myself like sitting there in like a bathrobe, smoking a cigarette, talking on the phone to people about, you know, meetings and whatever. And like it changed for me, and I'd always have like I'd get up first thing every day and I'd make a pot of coffee. That was it, first thing every day. And it's weird to me that like coffee has been this consistent to me. Coffee is really like, I know it sounds so weird, but like coffee is this sign of sobriety to me. It's not just a cup of coffee. Like when I taste coffee, it like has all these memories embedded in it. I mean, not every day, right? Like when I'm sitting here drinking this coffee, but you know, like when I first got sober, my dad bought me this coffee pot, you know, and I think for him, it was just like this sign of like, you know, really wanting me just to live this sober life. And then like going to meetings, and like coffee was such a huge part of going to meetings. You know, I was always told, come early, leave late. Like, don't just show up after the movie. Don't just show up after the meeting started. Like, come early, help set up, talk to people, meet people. Well, meeting around the coffee pot was a good way to meet people, because you would come in and you would get a cup of coffee, you know, and you would say like, oh, hey, Judy Smith, how are you? Blah, 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 whatever. God forbid I ever get a friend named Judy Smith. I am screwed. I won't ever be able to use that name again. But you know what I mean? It was like a really good way to meet people. And so that moped is going so fast. Oh, there's another one. They're going so fast on that. Well, that one's not going so fast on the sidewalk. But I would, it was a good way to talk to people, to meet people and stuff like that. And so, and then through the years, like that was always like, you know, we would like go to dinner, and then we would get to the meeting and get a cup of coffee, or, you know, whatever. My old home group, we used to actually have coffee mugs. Like we didn't use paper cups, we used like mugs. And so it was somebody's job at the end of the meeting to clean out all the coffee mugs. That was my job for a while at one point. Not at that meeting, but at a different meeting. And I don't know, I always think of coffee like at meetings. There's something very like innocent about the wanting the coffee and whatever. And people are weird about their coffee at meetings too, I'll tell you, man. If that coffee is not ready on time, people go crazy. Sky's interesting outside tonight. It's like gray and kind of cloudy, and dream. My next apartment that I lived in, my next 2 apartments, the next one I lived with my boyfriend and my roommate, and then the apartment after that, like she moved away and she moved with her family, and then the next apartment he and I just lived in together, and then he and I broke up, so I lived in it alone. You know, when I think about like those 2 apartments, like those 2 apartments don't have, like, other than the relationships and stuff like that, they don't have like real significant meaning to me. Like I don't have real strong memories of things that happened in those apartments. They were nice apartments, they were clean, things like that, but I don't have like, I mean, I have some memories and things like that, but I don't have like super strict memories of things, you know? I remember doing my 4-step, would that have been, that can't be, that would have been in my other apartment, I was gonna say. I remember doing something recovery-based, so like where I was writing it out. I don't know, maybe my sponsor had me do some specific inventory, because I can remember sitting on the floor in the bedroom. And they were watching a movie laughing, and I was doing like some inventory on something. That was at that apartment. I remember we used to go swimming a lot at night when we all got home from work. You know, we would all go work out at that gym. But my roommate at the time, she was working at a gym. She worked at Gold's Gym. And she was like really serious into working out and all that kind of stuff. And she knew like everything about it, whatever. And that boyfriend of mine, he was really, really into working out too. And he was like at the gym all the time. I worked out at that time at the apartment gym, and I loved it. I loved that small little apartment gym. I was there almost every night. And then when he and I broke up, that's when I got like in the best shape of my life. And I was eating super healthy. I mean, with him I did too, but still there I think I was eating, when he and I broke up, I was eating healthier. I have come full circle. I've come full circle, because when he and I broke up was when I was like 27, 28, and 27 going on 28, and he and I, and that was when I would go to my friend's house and model tops. Full circle. Full circle. You know what that means? It's time to end this vlog. And this vlog is almost at the end, so I'm just going to stop, or this part is almost at the end. It's at 23 minutes and something, so I'm going to stop it. I'll be right back. Hold on. I don't want to get into telling some story. Come on, focus. And then it's stopping. You know how that is. But anyway, full circle. From apartment 1 to modeling tops in 10 minutes, or the half an hour, or whatever it was. God. We used to have so much fun. Oh my God, we used to go to this bar called Utopia, which is where I met my ex. You could not tell me that I wasn't hot to trot. I thought I was the answer, the absolute answer. It's funny because like, Alex and I talk about sometimes like when he started going out, and we would have been at the same places. We've talked about like being out for Pride and things like that. We would have been at the same bars at the same time, and like didn't even know that we were like in the same room together. Isn't that crazy? This sweater makes me look so horrible, but I don't care. It's so comfy. But we would have been like out at the same time and like within the same area and didn't even know it. You know what I mean? Like we've talked before about like a drag show that we were both at watching the exact same show, and neither one of us knew each other at the time. Isn't that interesting? You might walk by somebody every day right now that will be your significant other someday that you haven't even met yet. You don't even know that person. It's weird how the world works like that. I do remember right before I saw Alex for the first time and sent him a message. So if you don't know, Alex and I met basically because I sent him a message on MySpace back in the day. I'd seen him out at a bar. He was giving birthday spanks to this guy that I knew as well too. He was like spanking him real hard. And it was like a drag show on a Sunday night, and it was real dead. There was probably 20 people in the whole bar. And I was with a friend of mine. And I said to her, because she knew all the people that worked there, I said, who is that? And she said, oh, that's so-and-so's ex. And I said, oh, because I knew his ex. Like, not well, but I knew who he was. And she said, I think his name is such and such. I think his name is Alex, is what she said, such and such. So anyway, later I swear, okay, I was not trying to find him or anything, but I was on MySpace, and I was like looking at somebody, and you know, like when it comes up like their top friends or whatever, like he was one of their top friends, and I was like, oh my God, it's him. And so I sent him a message, and then like 6 months, he was like still interested in his ex at that time, and then 6 months later he like reached out to me and was like, hey, are we still gonna go on that date? And I was like, are you, because he had said he wasn't over his ex, and I said, so are you over your ex? Basically being a snot. But anyway, and the rest is kismet, I guess. But like a week before, I don't know how many weeks before it was, I hadn't really noticed Alex, but I had noticed his two friends, because Alex had two friends, and it was Demi, the guy that we just visited in Dallas, And then his other friend that lives here, the one whose wedding we went to a couple years ago in Minnesota, but he lives here with his husband. And they call themselves Team America. But you know how like I talk about my friends and I like walking in and we think like we were the answer? Okay. They knew they were the answer. I mean, you could not tell them. They walked in and, oh my God, their hairdos and everything. They walked in like they couldn't be bothered with anybody in that bar. Not one person. I told Alex that on our first date too. He goes, well, why didn't you come and talk to me? I said, oh my God. I said, you were so snotty. Who was calling me? Oh, that's my husband. He's calling me. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, he was just checking in because he was like, you've been gone for a while. I said, well, I decided to vlog. I didn't really think I would vlog when I left. I was just gonna listen to my audiobook, and then I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna vlog. So anyway, what is this one hair that just hangs down here? Can we just talk about her? That is Darlene Jolene Joe's. That is her ex-boyfriend that won't just kick it. Kick it. His name is Earl Jarling Joe. Earl Jojo. Earl Jojo. Oh my God, I love that so much. I had a stuffed animal when I was a kid, and his name was Jojo. But anyway, Alex was like, our first date, I was like, why didn't you come up? He was like, why didn't you come up and say hi to us? They're so friendly. It's so funny now, like knowing them, because all three of them are so funny. I said, you guys were so snotty. You thought you owned the world. He was like, no, we didn't. I was like, oh, yes, you did. You would walk into that bar. I was like, I saw you a couple times. You would walk in there. You're like, shh, shh, we know we are better. I was like, Alex. He got laughing so hard. He was like, do we really come across that way? I was like, yes, you do. But you know what? When I was that age, I did that too. I thought I was gold. You couldn't tell me I wasn't gold. Isn't that funny? I like go into a bar, I'd be like, they're all looking at me. They all want me, right? Today I walk in and I think, no, not one person has even seen me in this place. Not one person cares. And it's kind of nice too, you know? It's nice when you get old and you get to the point where you don't want any attention. You just want to kind of like, you know what I mean? Like float into the woodwork a little bit. You don't want anybody to notice you a whole lot. That's when you truly know that you don't care anymore. But anyway, people are like putting their boats in already and stuff. Are you kidding me? It looks cold. I wouldn't want to get in that water. What are people doing out there? Well, there's no boats in the water, is there? Even any fishing boats? The lake is pretty today. You want to see? And there's a lake over there too. That's where my dad lives out here. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna get off here now. I've vlogged for a long time today, haven't I? Not 3 hours, but a long time. Anyway, I hope you guys are having, oh my God, I can't believe it's Monday already. I hope you guys are having an amazing Monday, unless you have other plans. But like I always say, don't have other plans. Make the most of your day. Do something fun today. Do something exciting. Do something today that when you look back on it, you'll be proud that you did it. When you look back on it, 6 weeks, 6 months, a year, 6 years, 16 years, 60 years. There are some of you watching this that will be alive in 60 years. I won't, but remember me, please, fondly. Anyway, remember and be like, oh, I remember Peter Monn back in the day when he was on that YouTube. People will be like, the YouTube? That'll be like Little House on the Prairie and those chalkboards. YouTube will be like that 60 years from now. Anyway, you know I'm talking about Little House on the Prairie. They had their like little boards, you know, that they would write their arithmetic on and things like that. Oh God. Anyway, life would be so simple if it was all about those little chalkboards and arithmetic. Okay, so anyway, but have an amazing day unless you have other plans, like I always say. And do something fun and do something that will make yourself proud looking down, you know, many years from now, or 6 days or 2 days from now, or tomorrow. And if nobody else has told you this today, I'll take my glasses off. I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and you say to yourself the following, or whatever of your choice. I love you. You matter. You are valuable. You are worthy. You are worthy of good things. What else? You are talented. You are beautiful. You are handsome. You're a good son. You are a good husband. You are a good friend. And you're a good uncle. You're a good brother-in-law. And today is going to be an amazing day full of opportunity and success and opportunity. Today is going to be full of happiness. Why can I never remember this when I get to the very end of it? Today you are going to remain happy, joyous, and free. and it's gonna be an amazing day. And 2020 is your year full of success and opportunity, and just all of your dreams will come true in 2020. And most importantly, make sure that you pick just one person. I actually did this on my Peterisms today. This is what I talked about on my Peterisms today. So if you're watching this on Monday, it will be the one from yesterday, about a reading from Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. It said, tell 3 people today that you love them. So most importantly, reach out to just one person and let them know how much they mean to you, how much you care about them, and how much they impact your life. And just, you can write it out, or you can say it to them, you know, or you can text it if you want to. But make sure that it is genuine and from your heart and endearing. Some terms of endearment for people today. Good terms of endearment. And I love that movie so much. Do you guys love that? Oh my God, I haven't seen that in forever. Maybe I should watch that next. It's so sad though. Anyway, and don't forget to practice random acts of kindness. And what? Don't tell anyone. Just do them. Just do them and don't tell anybody. Trust me, you'll feel better inside. And thank you guys for watching. If you've made it this far, put a blue heart in the comment section below. And not many blue hearts. I think people aren't making it this far in the vlog, but that's okay. Leave a blue heart in the comment section below. Make sure that you give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. And make sure that you're still subscribed. I don't say that enough on my channels. I guess I need to start saying that more on my channels. And I love you guys. Or if you haven't ever subscribed, you can subscribe. And I love you. This is the earliest vlog I've done in a long time. It is 7:38. And I love you guys. Thank you for watching. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.